3-second memory, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Every single time you toss a sprinkle of food into that bowl and chuckle, he'll forget in a heartbeat. Biology rolls its eyes. Seriously, it does. Science has known for over half a century that these fish remember for weeks, navigate intricate mazes, tell time with surprising accuracy, and even recognize your face. Pretty wild, huh? So, who exactly started this persistent lie? Why do we all just swallow it whole without questioning? And what does a goldfish really do with that surprisingly complex brain of theirs? Stick around. The truth is not only stranger, but way more useful and impactful than the convenient myth we've all been told. Walk into any classroom, any bustling office, or even your local pub, casually say goldfish, and I guarantee someone will immediately blurt out 3-second memory. It's become this ingrained cultural shorthand for cluelessness, for someone who just can't hold onto information. The phrase pops up everywhere, in movies, on greeting cards, and even those cheesy motivational posters that joke about forgetting your ex. The real problem here? This tired cliché is actually older than color TV and, frankly, just as dated. Think about that for a second. No credible scientific study, not one, has ever pinned goldfish memory to a mere few seconds. The number was simply repeated over and over until it somehow felt like fact. Repeating something absurd doesn't magically transform it into science. It just makes it a meme, and memes, as we've all learned, can have some pretty serious consequences. Because we've been led to believe fish are inherently forgetful, we often park them in tiny, barren tanks with absolutely nothing stimulating to do, assuming boredom doesn't even register in their tiny brains. Spoiler alert, it absolutely does. This pervasive myth directly impacts their welfare, leading to environments that are far from ideal for these surprisingly intelligent creatures. Let's rewind a bit, all the way back to 1966. Researchers at the University of Michigan, curious about these supposedly dim-witted swimmers, built a narrow tank with a tiny metal plate embedded in the floor. The setup was simple but effective. When the plate lit up, the goldfish had just a few seconds to swim to the other end of the tank or receive a mild, harmless electric zap. And what happened? Within a handful of trials, the goldfish figured it out. Day 2, they remember the drill. Day 3, they actually improved their performance, becoming more efficient. A full week later, they were still expertly sidestepping the shock, day in and day out. If their memory truly reset every 3 seconds, none of this learning curve, none of this consistent improvement could possibly exist. The academic paper detailing these groundbreaking findings quietly sat in scientific journals, but pop culture, stubbornly, never bothered to update its script. The unfortunate result? The public kept laughing at the forgetful fish, while the fish themselves, in their little lab tanks, kept proving them undeniably wrong. Fast forward a bit to the University of Plymouth, where scientists decided to put goldfish memory to another fascinating test. They installed a small lever in an aquarium. The premise? Bump it, and a tasty pellet of food drops down. Goldfish, being the clever little opportunists they are, learned this trick in under 7 days. But the team didn't stop there. They then made breakfast available only during a very specific 1-hour window each day. And here's where it gets really interesting. The fish not only remembered the lever, they actually started hovering near it, anticipating, right before that feeding window opened. They learned to tell time. The scientists even removed the feeding window for a while, then brought it back months later. And most of the fish still showed up on time, diligently waiting, like tiny, scaly commuters expecting their morning train. Try pulling that off with no memory to speak of. We're talking months of recall, not mere seconds. Now, wouldn't that make a much more accurate and, frankly, impressive greeting card message? The Technion Institute in Israel took things a step further, building a simple plus-shaped maze with a food reward hidden in one arm. Goldfish were released from the center, found their snack, and, after just a single day of training, they could nail the route consistently. Then the scientists cunningly swapped the reward to the opposite arm. The fish quickly relearned the new location and, incredibly, remembered it 6 months later. 6 months. That's longer than most people manage to remember their New Year's resolutions. Let's be honest. And if that doesn't impress you, consider this. In 2019, researchers at the University of Oxford trained goldfish to distinguish between human faces projected onto screens. The fish, with remarkable accuracy, pecked the correct portrait for a pellet reward, actually outperforming some undergrads on attention tests. Still think they're just mindless, swimming vegetables? Prepare for your mind to be truly blown. Australian biologists even taught goldfish to steer a robotic vehicle around a room and reach a specific target. Yes, you heard that right. If your mind isn't absolutely reeling from that revelation, then maybe you're the one with memory issues. Now, mammals like us store our long-term memories in a fascinating, seahorse-shaped region of the brain called the hippocampus. For a long time, because fish don't possess this exact structure, early anatomists simply assumed memory was, well, toast for them. But it turns out, nature is incredibly resourceful. Goldfish and other fish actually have a brain area called the pallium. This pallium, while structurally different from a mammalian hippocampus, performs essentially the same vital job using entirely different neural wiring. It's a classic case of convergent evolution. Different paths, same impressive outcome. Damage the pallium, and guess what? They forget the lever task, leave it intact, and they remember for seasons, sometimes even a year. Evolution, you see, isn't particularly fussy about sticking to a single blueprint. It just needs results. Think of it this way. A solid-state drive looks nothing like a spinning hard disk, yet both are perfectly capable of holding your entire music playlist. It's the very same principle at work here, just with biological hardware. So, with all this compelling evidence, why does this stubborn fib refuse to swim off into the sunset? I'd say there are 3 main culprits keeping the myth alive and kicking. First, there's lazy journalism and a general desire for a catchy soundbite. 3 seconds is undeniably punchy, it's clickable, and it's incredibly easy to doodle into a cartoon for a quick laugh. It requires no real effort or research. Second, we have anthropocentrism, which is essentially human-centered bias. If an animal doesn't think or behave exactly like us, we often quickly label it as dumb or primitive, rather than simply acknowledging it's just different. It's a convenient way to elevate ourselves. And third, perhaps the most impactful, is the environment we often provide for them. A goldfish circling a bare, unstimulating bowl literally has nothing meaningful to remember, nothing to interact with, so it appears to do nothing. That dull, lethargic behavior then gets mistakenly interpreted as stupidity, reinforcing the entire flawed loop. We can break this cycle by giving our fish places to explore, objects to nudge, and schedules to master, and you'll watch their true memory capabilities show up in neon colors. Believing goldfish live moment to moment, devoid of memory or understanding, conveniently justifies cramming them into shoebox-sized tanks adorned with nothing more than a plastic castle. But the truth, as we've now seen, is that an enriched environment changes absolutely everything for these creatures. Provide them with real plants or intricate tunnels, and the fish will actively map them out, remembering their layout. Vary their feeding locations, and they'll quickly anticipate where their next meal is coming from. Add appropriate tank mates, and they'll learn complex social hierarchies and interactions. Neglect these fundamental needs, and what you'll get is lethargy, stunted growth, and, sadly, often a one-way trip to the Porcelain Express. It's a direct consequence of our misunderstanding. Respect the incredible brain they possess. Upgrade their habitat to something truly suitable. And your once forgetful pet may just surprise you by greeting you at the glass with the enthusiasm of a Labrador. They deserve better, and their intelligence demands it. Let's just quickly recap, shall we? Classical conditioning. Goldfish have it nailed by day 2. Easy. Spatial memory. 6 months and counting with room for more. Time sense shows up reliably early for meals, like clockwork. Visual discrimination can pick your face out of a lineup. Impressive, right? Neuroplasticity. Their brains can actually rewire themselves and recover after injury. Tell me again how these creatures can't even remember yesterday. It simply doesn't hold water. Want to see the evidence with your own eyes tonight? A simple DIY goldfish memory test is waiting in the description. Check it out. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into aquatic intelligence, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button so YouTube's algorithm stops forgetting this video exists, and definitely subscribe for more myth-busting that doesn't insult your intelligence, or the animals for that matter. Let's keep learning together. So, was there some grand, shadowy conspiracy to keep us in the dark about goldfish intelligence? Not at all. It was far less dramatic and much more mundane, just a daisy chain of lazy repetition. Back in the early 1900s, pet manuals needed a cutesy, easily digestible fact about goldfish. Newspapers, always eager for a quick filler, copied it. Advertisers, seeing a humorous gag, liked it. Hollywood screenwriters, looking for a convenient punchline, think Dory and Finding Nemo, bit hard, and the circle of meme life, as it were, just continued on and on. The fish, of course, never got a vote in the matter. So, let's set the record straight once and for all. Goldfish memory clocks in at weeks to months, potentially even a year, not some ridiculous 3 seconds. The myth, as we've discussed, survives because it's cute, it's incredibly convenient. And, let's be honest, it's commercially useful for those who sell tiny bowls. Science torched this lie decades ago, yet popular culture keeps stubbornly fanning the smoke. It's time for us to stop repeating the cliché, start actively spreading the actual data, and maybe, just maybe, the next generation will grow up respecting fish brains instead of thoughtlessly mocking them. Your move. Next time someone shrugs off a goldfish as utterly forgettable, hit them with a lever experiment. Remind them of the 6-month maze recall. Bring up the face recognition study. Better yet, tell them a goldfish can literally drive a car. Badly, yes, but still. If you learned something truly surprising today, please tap that like button, share this video with the aquarist in your life, drop your own amazing fish stories down in the comments below, and definitely subscribe for more videos that turn old, tired myths into fresh, accurate understanding. Because the only thing that truly deserves a short memory is this outdated, harmful lie. See you in the next one.